All right. Let's see what's going on. Run the ad, as is tradition.
9 p.m. Pacific
Here we go.
time. At T-minus 4 minutes and 40 seconds, the weather is green
Jam?
and the range is ready to support. Teams are currently tracking no issues with the vehicle or the spacecraft.
All right. Falcon 9 ready to go. I got to move the BRB off here. That was literally the worst time for that to happen.
Coming up shortly, we should see the clamp arms on the strong back opening up. Those clamp arms are located just below the payload fairing.
It's Vandenberg Geek, yep. Preparing to fast forward. All right, so we got Falcon 9. This is 513. The 513 group missions. It's just more Falcon 9 sats launching out of Vandenberg, guys. TE is retracting there. This is I think it said it was the 12th flight for booster 1063. First stage serial number is 1063, like a locomotive. And 63 has flown. This will be its 12th flight. You can tell it's in California because of the marine layer. The fog is pretty nutso down there. Are you excited for the 100th launch of this year? Very. American victory in Tampa. That's cool, Jam. Neat.
Stage 1, lock load is complete.
Okay, here we go.
At T-minus 3 minutes, the Falcon 9 first stage is fully loaded with rocket propellant 1, or RP1, and liquid oxygen, or LOX. And we're awaiting completion of LOX load on
Pyro,
the second stage in about 45 seconds from now.
About 90 over on the other coast here, up in the northeast. It is very warm.
Now, aside from the marine layer, you may also see some white clouds around the vehicle. Those white clouds are chilled gas.
It's still the morning over there, Jim, technically, but it kind of depends. If there's higher clouds, it's not going to boil off the marine layer.
And when that gas comes out into the California air, the humid, moist air condenses into clouds and water.
Hey, Faulty. By the way, congrats, EJ and Brimo. Thanks, man.
Coming up shortly, we should hear a call out that LOX loading is complete on the second stage.
Because SR-71 and grid fins. Grid fins too. All right. 2 minutes.
Discovery, go and
Hey, Lev. 46-month resub. Okay, we should see a ground gas closeout happening very soon here.
The booster or first stage of the rocket that you see on your screen is flying for its 12th time today. After liftoff and stage separation, this booster is scheduled to land on our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is currently stationed in the Pacific Ocean. As many of you may...
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
And there's that call out that stage 2 LOX loading is complete.
Watch the right side of the transporter erector. It'll start
1 million
shooting
pounds of fuel and liquid oxygen.
Gas out. It's
now, as many
gaseous
of you may
oxygen.
already know,
They're taking the fuel out of the lines that go to the
SpaceX
rocket.
to refly the most expensive pieces, which in turn drives down the cost of space
Couldn't
access.
get it.
Coming up in about 10 seconds
ground
from
gas
now,
purge.
we should hear a call out that Falcon 9 is...
The reason why they do that is because the fuel and oxidizer lines, you can see them right there, for the second stage, go up the side of the strongback transporter erector, right? And when the second stage is full, they wait until the last second to top it off with fuel because the fuel's cryogenic. It likes to boil off. So they wait until pretty much the last second here. And then, because the lines are under pressure, they let the lines go. They let the gaseous oxygen line go. The RP1 is just drained back into the system.
With today's mission. So let's sit back and watch as Falcon 9 takes our 48 Starlink satellites into space.
Okay.
T-minus 30 seconds.
30 seconds. But if you look close, when this umbilical separates right there, sometimes it lights on fire because liquid oxygen shoots out if there's any LOX left in the system. Sometimes it catches on fire when the rocket goes past.
T-minus 10, 9,
RP1.
8,
It's
7,
rocket propellant
6,
1.
5,
It's a highly refined
4,
version of Jet
3,
A.
2, 1.
Ignition.
Engines full power. And lift off.
Okay, there's a lift. Watch right there. Watch, see it shot it
out.
out, and it caught on fire. See? Did you see it down there? Caught on fire. Got a good lift.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Okay, the marine layer is usually pretty low here, so it should come out of the clouds here in a second. There we go. Out of the clouds. Stand by for the call for power and telemetry here,
At T
indicating
plus
Falcon
30
9's on a
seconds,
good
Falcon 9 has
flying
successfully
the right
lifted
way.
off from Slick 4 East from Vandenberg Space Force Base in California at 12:29 p.m.
The vehicle
Pacific
is
time.
rolling to the proper
Now, the
flight
next
azimuth.
major milestone coming up is Max Q, which is when the vehicle experiences
Power and telemetry nominal.
There we go.
which is when the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of external stresses as it ascends through the Earth's atmosphere.
Maximum aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle means basically the rockets, they throttle the engines down because it can't move the air out of the
Falcon
way.
9 is supersonic.
You can only move the air out of the way so much
And there's
before
that
you
call-out
start
that Falcon 9 is
hurting
supersonic, which
things.
means that the rocket
So
is
they
traveling
slow it down a
faster
little
than the
bit
speed
to
of
not
sound.
get heating
We
on
should
the
hear
front
that
of the
call-out for
vehicle.
Max Q shortly.
And to minimize the compression
Max
load.
Q.
And there's that call out for Max
You don't
Q,
wanna
which again
accordion
is
the
when
rocket,
the rocket
that's bad.
experiences the largest
That's
amount
bad
of
for it.
external stresses.
Yeah, see, there's a high cloud layer. So there's low clouds and there's higher clouds here today.
Now we are just about 1 minute away from a series of events: main engine cutoff, stage separation, second
Bomb
engine
pokes.
start 1, and then lastly fairing
Bomb pokes
separation.
under a bunch of clouds
MECO,
today.
or main engine cutoff, is where all
Got
9
clouds
of
pretty
the
much all the
Merlin
way
1D
up to
engines on the
up
first
to the
stage
bay
shut
up
down.
there.
That's followed by stage separation when the first and second stages separate. SES-1, or second engine
We
start
did
1,
username.
is where we light the Merlin vacuum engine on the second stage. And lastly, fairing separation is when the two fairing halves separate and fall away from the
You
second
notice
stage.
that the
So let's keep an
asymmetry
eye
of
out
the
for those
plume coming
events,
out of
which
the
will
vehicle
happen in quick
indicates a
succession.
radial out trajectory. Basically, Falcon 9 is pointed a little ways up. It's flying this way, but the rocket's pointed a little up just to get a little bit more performance out of the first stage. There's Southern California. Santa Barbara should be coming into the picture over here somewhere. Your cursor went over my house. Look up in the sky, Vin. You'll see it. Okay? As it gets up to staging, Falcon 9's no longer burning radial out, and it's pointing basically in the direction that it's going, which is called prograde velocity, or prograde. There's the vent lines for fueling and chilling the second
Stage
stage.
separation confirmed.
Boom! We got the big nozzle today. Good separation. Upper stage ignition.
MVAC ignition.
And as you
Stiffen
just saw
ring
and heard over the
separation.
nets, we had successful MECO, stage sep, and
Fairing
SES-1.
separation confirmed.
Fairing separation.
And there's that confirmation of fairing separation from the
Fairings
second
popped
stage.
off. You can see Santa
We will be
Barbara
attempting
over
to
there.
recover both fairing halves using our recovery vessel, Go Beyond.
There is the fairing. The fairing is the
Both the
aerodynamic
fairing
shell
halves
that
of the
protects the
40th
payload
stage
on
are
top
flight
of the
proven,
second
with
stage.
one half flying for its 4th time, and the other half
There's the
flying
Channel
for
Islands
its
right
7th
there.
time.
This is going south out of California here. I'm not sure of the trajectory for this one username. I'll be able to tell you where it's going if they show the map view again. Okay, everything's looking good here. First stage is going to coast. It has onboard compressed nitrogen thrusters here to basically
On the
keep
left
the
side of
vehicle
your
on an
screen right
even
now
keel
is
and
our
get it
Falcon
lined
9
up
first
for its
stage,
re-entry.
and on the right side is the MVAC engine on our second
Ring there.
stage.
They showed the live
carrying
camera on the
Starlink
barge,
satellites
dude.
to
We'll
orbit.
see. We'll see what it gets us. Oh, look at that system over the
Currently,
Channel
the
Islands
first
in
stage is
Southern
on its way
California.
back
Look
to
at
Earth
that.
towards our drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You, which is located in
It's
the
funny
Pacific
because
Ocean.
from the first stage you can see it, and then you can see it from the second stage right
The
there as
MVAC
well.
engine attached to the second stage is
That's
continuing
pretty
its
cool.
burn, which will last about another 4.5 minutes.
That's pretty neat. You could literally see the same system right there. 1, 2, 1, 2. That's cool, huh? It's gonna land on the drone ship, doubloon. All right, everything's looking good here. There's some solid oxygen getting built up there, and the reason why solid
As a reminder,
oxygen kind
Starlink
of
is a satellite
pulls
internet
on this
constellation designed and
manifold right
manufactured
here
by SpaceX.
is because when they're chilling down the engine, they run propellants through it to prime the thing right before it separates, and those vent lines that you saw when it separated from the first stage were pressurized, and they depress, and when they depress, they shoot gaseous oxygen into the vacuum, and when you have gaseous oxygen going into a vacuum, it immediately disperses all heat, and it freezes until it gets to 0 Kelvin, until it gets to vacuum. And in that like split second that you vent the gas at a high pressure to vacuum, no pressure, no temperature, it'll basically solidify in that split second. That's what this stuff is on the second stage. It's from the vent line. See it right there? It kind of hangs there for a little bit.
Mission just this year. Coming up next in the mission is the entry burn on the first stage, which is the first of 2 burns it will go through.
First
in
stage is
preparation
past its
for
apogee
landing.
right now. You were able to see it somewhat. Nice,
We should
dude.
see that stage 1 entry burn start in just under a minute from now.
Yeah, we definitely had a higher resolution camera on that last one, Pyro, for sure. This is looking up the top of the second stage. This would have been looking up the business end of the second stage. You could see those vent lines, 1, 2, and 3, that were attached to 1, 2, and 3 right there. See the vent lines? They attach right there. That's for priming the second stage, making sure that when you go to turn it on, there's fuel ready to go, and oxidizer. More about the oxidizer than anything. Because the oxidizer on Falcon 9 is actually super freaking cold. It's a semi-cryogenic rocket, meaning it uses liquid oxygen and kerosene, basically. And because it uses liquid oxygen, you have to get the motor to operating temperature. Interesting thing about rocket engines, the turbine machinery, which is behind this insulated blanket right here, needs to be really, really cold. I think it's minus like 290 Fahrenheit, which is interesting because the rocket engine definitely is not cold. This part, the operating temperatures for these are really, really cold, and for the nozzle, it's actually super hot. Here's the entry burn, my favorite part. Supersonic retro propulsion. What Falcon 9 is doing here is it's firing its engines to slow down, but it's also firing its engines to push the reentry heating away. Yeah, you heard that right. The reentry heating is plasma that's accumulated on the vehicle from compressed gas. Basically, Falcon 9's coming back down into the atmosphere, and the air is compressing up on the front, and that high compression, when you compress a gas, it gets really, really hot. And basically, Falcon 9's going fast enough to literally rip air apart. And when you rip air apart like that, plasma happens. So plasma actually accumulates. Think of it like condensation on a drink. It kind of accumulates there. What that rocket engine firing does is actually move the plasma away from the vehicle and envelop Falcon 9 in a cooler column of gas. Yeah, the rocket exhaust is preferable to reentry heating. It's actually not as hot. And that's enough for it to actually, that's the heat shield. It's enough for it to come through and make it slow down enough and make it through reentry. You should see the atmospheric pressure start to go up here. Ambient pressure is going up. You'll see that via aerodynamic perturbations on the grid fins.
About 20 seconds
Basically,
from
they're
now,
going to
we should see the stage 1
moving
landing
around a
burn
lot.
start on the left side of the
RPE
screen.
is a good time. Yep. Fight plasma with fire, man.
Stage 2 in terminal guidance.
Stage 2 is now in terminal guidance, meaning that the onboard computers are using the vehicle's acceleration to discern
Stage 1
navigational
landing burn.
position.
And there's confirmation that the stage 1 landing burn has started in preparation
Stage
for
1's
touchdown
firing
on our
its
drone
engines
ship.
for
Of course,
landing.
I still love you in the
Oh,
Pacific
we're
Ocean.
into the clouds.
We should also
Oh,
hear
the
that
clouds
call
are
out
low.
for Seco or
Drone
something
ship's
in
gonna
the
come out of
clouds.
nowhere. Oh, come on.
Stage 1
Come
landing
on.
deploy.
Come on, landing legs. There we go. Hey, very nice. Little windy.
Confirmed.
It's windy
And if
down
you
there.
can
That's
hear
why
that
she's
sharing,
off center to the
everyone
right a
here in
little
Hawthorne
bit.
is
Look at
very
the wind
excited
blow
that
the
this
plume
Falcon
away.
9 first stage is now successfully launched and
That
landed
was
for
very
its 12th
windy.
time.
Damn. Where's the SpaceX logo? Oh yeah, that got
We
burned
also
off
heard that call out
long
for Seco
ago.
1.
Whoa. Look at the wind. Look at the wind down there. The water's got some chop,
Nominal
man.
orbit insertion.
We got a call for
And there's
nominal orbital
confirmation of good
insertion.
orbit.
Very
Today's
good.
landing marks
Oh
our
yeah.
205th overall landing
at
of
that.
an orbital class rocket, including Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy missions.
Descending
confirmation of
node
successful
43
first-stage
degree
landing and
inclined
second engine
orbit out of
cutoff and orbital insertion,
Vandenberg.
that wraps up our
See that right there? That's a trajectory, guys, for the longest time no one thought you could do. The reason why is because, well, you fly it over Baja. There's people there, but because Falcon 9 is so ridiculously safe, it was cleared for this trajectory. It's a very reliable rocket. That thing flew over the Baja Peninsula. Can you believe that? Wow. You know what the crazy part about that is, dudes? That's a 40, I think it's like 43 or 44 degrees inclined, meaning the tilt of that orbit is 43 degrees off of the equator. The crazy part about that is, if I saw that correctly, if Falcon 9 can do that trajectory, you could probably launch people from Vandenberg to the ISS. Yeah, if that trajectory works. And it seems to work very nicely. That's actually pretty crazy. That trajectory, I don't know if that's the first time they've done that trajectory, but I will tell you right now, That's enough of a dogleg left turn to be able to get to the ISS. It's close. You could do it, which is actually pretty insane. There's never been a crewed launch from Vandenberg. The only place where the U.S. has launched people into space is Baikonur in Kazakhstan when American astronauts fly on Soyuz to the ISS, and Cape Canaveral. That's it. Never launched anybody from Vandenberg, which is actually pretty crazy. It landed, Creeper, but it landed in one heck of a headwind. Yeah. I mean, the second stage flying over is not that big of a deal. It's just pivotal points during the ascent where the second stage is not going fast enough to get burned up in re-entry. Will still come down in one piece. That's like pretty much right after staging. That's why they safe the stage 2 flight termination system halfway through the second stage burn. The flight termination system doesn't need to be armed anymore because if something happens to the second stage, re-entry is the termination system. You ain't getting any bits back without a heat shield, and the second stage and the Starlink satellites do not have those. So, flying the second stage during ascent, like I'd say for the latter 2 to 3 minutes of the ascent trajectory is actually not that big of a deal. Flying that over populated areas because the stage will burn up before it ever hits the ground, which is actually really cool. But yeah, I don't think that SpaceX will need to launch people from Vandenberg in the future, but also that pretty much shows that could happen, which is really, really cool. Crew launches from California. That's pretty neat, man. So what is it that arrived at your house? Boxes. I mean, they were considering landing the second stage, but they scrapped that idea, sadly. Yeah, they didn't scrap the idea, Creeper. They just implemented it into another system. What's the ISS inclination? 51.6 degrees incline, Black. That one went to like 43 or a 45 degree orbit. I'm not 100% sure, but if you can get to 45 out of Vandenberg, you can get to 51. It's not that much more delta V. And Starlink satellites are way heavier than a Dragon capsule with 4 people in it. Yeah, they're heavy. If they can do a drone ship landing on that type of insertion out of polar, that's pretty damn impressive. Did you get fired on your day off? Are there crew facilities at Vandenberg? Nope. But SpaceX did lease Slick 6, which at one point was a crew-rated pad. They just never launched any crew from it. Manned missions out of Vandenberg would be nice for hurricane season. Yeah. Check the third view in this event for just the drone ship. Shows them hitting the deck with a fire hose after touchdown. Dude. Wait, what is this? Whoa. Yeah, it is less username. Yeah, that's what I mean. Dude. Is this just perpetual drone ship shot? No freaking way. Hey, Mick, what's going on? Dude. Oh, the birds know. The birds know something's about to happen. Oh. Oh, this is sick, dude. Oh, we're watching launches on Twitter from now on. Yo! That's nuts. Sound? Oh, is it just... No way.
Vehicles on a nominal trajectory.
It's Twitter video, dude. I hope you're doing well. I'm doing okay. Doing okay.
Stage 1 entry burn shutdown.
You might get rate limited.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Alright, here we go. The birds know. Let's see. I think so, Geek. We'll pipe the feeds from Twitter video right into a multi-box view.
Stage 2 FTSS safety.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
That's awesome.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
Yeah, look at the wind. Look at the wind blow the plume away. So what all this stuff is, guys, is that they spray the deck of the drone ship down with water. The reason why they do that is because when the rocket lands, it's landing on flat metal. The rocket engine will absolutely punch a hole in the drone ship if you don't find a way to mitigate the heat. So they basically water down the deck, and what all this is steam. It's water that's been heated by the rocket engine. It takes all the heat away so it doesn't melt the metal on the drone ship.
Eco 1.
So there's purge down on the engine. After the engine fires, the engine's full of liquid oxygen. Oxygen oxidizes things, i.e. rusts things a lot. You don't want the rocket engine rusting from the inside out. So you see these purge plumes come out here. They basically shoot helium through the plumbing on the rocket engine to get all of the liquid oxygen, gaseous oxygen, and RP1 out of the system. That's part of a big thing for reusing a rocket engine, because there's the stage 1 vent down. See the lines right there? They're purging out all the motors. See them? They're hitting them with helium, and that helium is coming out through the vent lines in the form of gas. The reason why they're doing that, they're displacing all the gaseous oxygen, getting it out of there because it'll rust the engine if you leave it there. They showed this cam during the June 22nd Starlink as well. I don't know, drummer. That's really, really fascinating stuff. The first live shot is a technical stream, no commentary. Dude, this is baller. I like this. Game on Twitter. This is excellent. Oh, that's so cool. I think they cut the feeds, dudes, to be honest with you. Yep, they were spraying it down. What they're doing now is getting all of the liquid oxygen and RP1 that was purged out of the engines. They're getting it away to prevent fire. You're basically watering down the oxidizer. I mean, it'll boil off, right? And getting the RP1 off of the deck of the drone ship. It probably goes into the bilge on the ship if I had to guess. That's cool, man. That's cool. I love it. I love that they sit here and just show the feeds. That's really wild stuff. That's really freaking cool. I've never seen footage of the hold down of Octograbber doing its thing, human. It's probably being deployed right now once the deck cools off. I mean, the water probably helps to do that too. But that's really freaking cool, man. Good stuff. All right. Anyway, thanks for watching that launch coverage. There should be another Falcon 9 launching on Sunday morning at 4:46 a.m. Eastern. I'll think about it. Okay, we got to get back into the groove. I've been away for too long.